Hello, guys. So I got a bunch of you who sent me a message where you left a comment and you said, "Hey, buddy, check out the news that just came out today." And I knew it was serious because there was a bunch of you, And to be honest, it's the first time that I've received that many people, so I knew it was gonna be big, man. And here we go. Usually, I go through a bunch of other stories in the beginning, or get data, fires. I'm not doing that today. This this is one of those stories that it deserves the time slot on its own. But I need to be careful here. So the only article I'm reading before, it's because even if it's not the Rizzuto clan, I'm just wondering if it's related, because we are talking about Montreal City and we're talking about a police operation, and it won't be the only one. So I wanted to be sure they're not linked in some fashion, and we will not be skipping this, and somehow it would help us to understand the main story. But it's a stretch kind of because it is the bikers, but you never know. I want to double check. Operation Police against the members of the Marauders. Oh, it's not Montreal. My bad. I see Marauders and I assumed it. So it's in the Laurentides. I see. Okay. Well, it says it's linked to Montreal. They are from Montreal, so let's check it out and let's get down to business, my friend. Shout out to Adam Rogers, DJ, and everybody else. Police of Laval are effecting a search warrant Thursday, June 12th, targeting two members of the Marauders considered as a puppet school of the Hells Angels. Who are they? The two arrests are Benoit Taillefer, 41, an influential member, and Michael Rochon, 37. They call him a striker. You know those bikers. They have these roles or whatever. These how you call it, echelons, ranks, stuff like that. There's a photo of the funeral of. I'm assuming it's the funeral of the brother of one of the Marauders. Remember Jean-Philippe, Jean Celestin, when his brother got killed. You remember that? I think it's that because there's a picture of his brother here. So this is Benoit Taillefer, one of the arrests, and they're saying that an, another person, close friend of Jean-Philippe Celestin, probably another Marauder. Now it says aggression in the middle of the night, free aggression. What are we talking about? The police operation happened after a violent aggression of April 27th. Now, that's a while ago, so it's an investigation about an aggression that happened. Now, I don't remember this aggression. They say it happened at 3:30 in the morning, and this would be in Laval on one of the most important streets in that town. If those who don't know, Laval is just north of Montreal. It would be similar to you in New York when you'll say cross the Brooklyn Bridge to go. You're in Manhattan, you cross the bridge and you go to Brooklyn. It's that type of scenario. So Laval, Saint Martin West, one of their important streets, and it happened inside of a restaurant called Dunn's. Let's check. That night, three men, one of them who were wearing a vest of the Marauders, had attacked a client without an apparent reason, somehow in a free way. Now, I don't know what that means. Maybe you don't know the reason. I doubt they just enter the place and hit someone, unless they had someone on their mind and they mistaken him for somebody else. So then they attack the guy, and the guy says, I don't know why they attacked me. They just attacked me out of nowhere. That's the other explanation, I would think. Hit with many shots to the head, the client lost consciousness, and he's in his own, blood. He got out of it, of course, but they're saying it always, according to our information, the investigators have not established a link between the victims and the aggressors. I don't know why they're mentioning this thing happening on the 27th. They're saying that the operation today with these two arrests of Taillefer, and I guess it was one of them. So they finally proceeded to the arrest. I find that strange. It took them 3-4 months to go arrest someone for beating somebody in a bar. I wonder why it took 3 months. I got no idea. We're going to finish this. We're done here. So, no, it's not a police operation as in they caught stupefiers and it was tied to the Rizzuto clan somehow. Happened at the same moment. No, it's not that. Okay, let's go to the main story. The main one. Unbelievable. Now, I'm going to throw my rocks here. I have no idea what happened. Absolutely none, trust me, at all. However, I just want to remind you that 2 years in a row, such as this year and the previous year, we covered with you, there was a subgroup of the Sicilians who seemed to be doing business in the southwest of Montreal, and they were targeted by by a police operation, or two operations, last year and this year. And it was always going back to the cops alleged was DeAdamo. Okay, so that's as far as we can tell about what happened these last year or so, based on the news. If we got anything at all with the Sicilians. The other one was we found out that Frederic Silva, turncoat, was afraid of his life, and he became one of the biggest informers in Quebec history. And I think they paid him millions of dollars. I don't think he was released. He's still in prison. I don't know how that works. Usually they're released. No, to get a deal. I have no clue. But from my understanding is he's hidden somewhere else. But he's not free. That's my understanding. Now, Frederic Silva, there was the revelations that, after all, he was inside of the pipeline of the Sicilians. But he was taking orders from Gregory Woolley at a certain point. But he was able to meet... what's his name? Sollecito, father, I believe, at the time. Not too sure, but at least he met Sollecito, the son, for sure. And he was in good relationships with them. I think he may even be Italian blood somewhere. And anyways, he fit right with the bunch. So that's the other revelation related to the Sicilians that we have so far. Other than that, Sicilians were seen in that restaurant in the old port that I told you about that was firebombed, or they let off rounds at, and they went to see the owner, and they sent them a message that either you pay or this place explodes. Now, that's the same restaurant where Hells Angels were seen going there, street gangs were seen going there, and the Sicilians. But this is not new news. When they were seen, it was the last few years. However, the firebombing and things like that is recent. So that's the summary of whatever we did get, I believe. Maybe my memory's not good and I'm forgetting something. But that's what come to mind before about the Sicilians. So we can discuss this. Now let's get into it. All right, let's see what they're saying. Oh, it's a video. Sorry about that.
On revient sur cette opération de grande envergure ce matin de la Sûreté du Québec, du SPVM, le projet Alliance, qui a visé pas moins de 16 suspects, dont plusieurs...
So Project Alliance by the cops targeted 16 suspects
leaders du clan Rizzuto,
from the Rizzuto
les
clan.
deux co-chefs du clan mafieux,
The
Leonardo
leaders,
Rizzuto,
Leonardo Rizzuto,
fils du défunt parrain Vito Rizzuto, Stefano Sollecito
and Stefano Sollecito.
également sont les plus gros noms visés par l'opération. Jean-Louis Fortin est
So 14 other people except these two leaders.
directeur du bureau d'enquête. Il est avec nous cet après-midi. Bonjour Jean-Louis.
Bonjour Marianne.
C'est sans contredit l'opération la plus importante des dernières années, on peut dire.
So without saying, Mr. Jean-Louis Fortin, could we say this operation that happened today is the largest operation anti-mafia or the most meaningful one in the last few years?
Dans les 15-20 dernières années, c'est difficile de trouver plus gros coup de filet pour la police. Je pense qu'il faut...
Says even in the last 15-20 years, I don't think that we have ever caught as many of them or leaders at the same time.
Monter peut-être à l'opération Shark contre les Hells Angels en 2009 là, pour trouver
The only other one as significant would be Operation Shark against the Hells Angels.
quelque chose de comparable, c'est ça. Donc, on a vu la photo à l'écran, là, les deux co-chefs de la mafia montréalaise, du clan sicilien, Leonardo Rizzuto, Stefano Sollecito, qui ont été tirés du lit de bonne heure ce matin. Et là, on vient d'avoir...
Oh, yes, I forgot to tell you the other thing that we missed to recap. Leonardo Rizzuto there was an attempt on his life where they tried to kill him maybe 1 or 2 years ago. That's also, we have to remember.
voir les actes d'accusation parce qu'ils comparaient ça au palais de justice de Montréal cet après-midi.
So they'll appear at the courthouse this afternoon.
En cour supérieure et il y a des accusations.
Oh, and look at that. So the accusation I see on the screen, accusation of plotting murder.
Pour pas moins de 6 meurtres au premier degré qui auraient
For 6 murders in the first degree. Now, let me throw the dice. It has something to do with Frederic Silva.
été commis Et là, c'est pas tous les suspects là, qui doivent répondre de tous les meurtres, mais donc 6 meurtres, des complots pour meurtre également. Meurtre
6 murders or plots for murdering.
prémédité, on le sait, hein, c'est le crime
Premeditated.
le plus grave du code criminel qui peut entraîner des peines de prison à vie là, sans possibilité de libération avant 25 ans. Donc,
C'est le cas de Leonardo Rizzuto, hein?
il est accusé de meurtre, tout comme Stefano
And Leonardo Rizzuto, he gets first degree charge of murder.
Sollecito. Jean-Richard Larivière, un Hells Angels notoire du chapitre de Montréal, lui fait face à pas moins de 4 accusations de meurtre au premier degré.
And then we have Jean-Richard Larivière, Hell's Angel. He's getting 4 charges for first degree murder. For those who don't know, Hell's Angels of the Montreal chapter.
Les meurtres de Sébastien Beauchamp, Gaétan.
Oh, on the murder of Sébastien Beauchamp. Now, we've spoken about Sébastien Beauchamp. He was an ex-rocker, the original, how you say, hit team of the Hells Angels, their official ones, sub-biker group in the 90s. They fought the biker war. What's his name? Gregory Woolley was part of it. Gregory Woolley was, I think, even its leader at a certain point. He got promoted. So Gregory Woolley knew Sébastien Beauchamp. Sébastien Beauchamp, we covered. This was one of the first news I've ever covered on this channel when I started reporting the news. Sébastien Beauchamp, I think, was killed maybe in 2019-ish. Don't quote me on that. He got killed next to his house or next to a gas station. I'm not too sure. They murdered him, and then they found they did charge one of the hitman or the co-conspirators. They went to his house. It's the guy I called the Humpty Dumpty guy. He looks like Humpty Dumpty with the bald head. Forgot his name, but that man, they found the 3D gun printing at his place. Okay, that story. Maybe some of you will remember because of that. But so it was connected. We knew that Frédéric Silva had something to do with that. There was also pictures of Frédéric Silva meeting that guy with the 3D gun thing, and I think it may have even been Frédéric Silva who pulled the trigger. Now, don't quote me on that. I get sometimes fast confused. There's just too many storylines. But I do my best to remember for you, and then put them all together. But I guarantee you, Frédéric Silva had something to do with it. So. We were, our hunch at the beginning, to recap those things, it proved useful. Now, what becomes interesting is we never had a name of who gave the order necessarily. We were only assuming back then. Now we actually have a name. They're giving us a Jean-Richard Larivière, Hells Angels of Montreal. They're accusing him. I doubt he pulled the trigger. Like I told you, I think it was Frédéric Silva. I could be wrong, but I believe so. My memory tells me it was him. But I doubt Hell's Angel went by himself and took this risk to kill someone. But he's getting charged.
Sévigny, Jean-Guy Bourgoin, 21er degré, fait face à pas moins de 4 accusations de meurtre au premier degré.
So the 4 charges, who did he kill?
Les meurtres de Sébastien Beauchamp.
Sébastien Beauchamp.
Gaétan Sévigny.
Gaétan Sévigny. I don't remember that one.
Jean-Guy Bourgoin, Vincent Lamère.
Jean-Guy Bourgoin, Vincent Lamère, the names, I heard them, I don't remember.
Qui sont survenus là, dans la dernière décennie.
That happened, he says, in the last decade. So there's a range, right? They didn't all happen in the same year, but he says last 10 years. So that information of the last 10 years, to have these murder information, they didn't solve it all this time. These 4 in the last decade, the cops didn't solve it. Now, magically, they're going to solve all of them at the same time. You do the math. It's coming. Frédéric Silva explained what happened, and the cops knew where and how to get more evidence, I guess. But I don't know if his testimony is good enough by itself. Probably has a lot to do with it.
Tout ça grâce aux révélations de Frédéric Silva.
On y revient.
He confirms these are all made possible by the revelations of Frédéric Silva.
Bien.
Oui, bien, c'est que Frédéric Silva s'est mis à table avec la police depuis
He went to the
3
table
ans
with the
maintenant,
cops
depuis
for the last 3 years.
2022. On dit de lui, Marianne, qu'il est un excellent témoin. On
They say of him he's an excellent witness.
l'appelle un collaborateur spécial, là, qu'il a une excellente mémoire,
That he has an excellent memory.
qu'il est minutieux et
He's minutious. I don't know if that exists in English. Like attention to detail and very meticulous. He's very meticulous.
il aide la police à corroborer. Il a lui-même participé à de nombreux meurtres. Il
He has himself participated to numerous of those murders.
a été témoin des préparatifs. Il en a exécuté d'autres. Il est d'ailleurs emprisonné, lui, à perpétuité pour 4 meurtres. Et il a
Oh, okay. He is detained to, they said, for perpetuity. He's not going to be released, apparently.
aidé la police à
Imagine that, helping the cops, giving all these names, and you're not gonna, and all you get for it is your cell's gonna be safe. That's it. You didn't actually get a sweetheart deal.
rassembler une foule de renseignements pour corroborer différents meurtres et ce qui a permis de déposer la kyrielle d'accusations qu'on a aujourd'hui.
Et Jean-Louis, d'après vos informations,
Sorry.
Grégory Woolley, dont
Now he's, oh, this is great. Now Jean-Louis, according to our information that we have, Gregory Woolley, what she's gonna say?
on a souvent parlé, aurait lui aussi été appréhendé s'il n'avait pas évidemment été assassiné. là.
Oui.
There you go, and it says, according to our information, Gregory Woolley was on on the cops' list. So if Gregory Woolley was not himself offed, he would be arrested today with this police operation. So they're hitting the entire pipeline of the Sicilians, and you get a little confirmation right there that Gregory Woolley had a hand in all these murders too. And if it's linked to Silva, it's linked to Woolley, it's going to be linked to the Sicilians. It all comes together.
C'est une scène dont beaucoup de gens se rappellent. Hein? En 2023, il avait été assassiné à Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu
He was killed, Gregory Woolley, you remember, in 2023 in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu.
sous les yeux de sa conjointe et en présence aussi de leur très jeune enfant.
Un nouveau-né.
Oui,
à peu près, ouais.
effectivement. Ce qui faisait dire aux observateurs que les codes d'honneur, dans le fond, dans le milieu criminel, ça n'existe plus vraiment. Greg Woolley, qui était ni plus ni moins que le parrain des gangs de rue, travaillait avec le clan Rizzuto depuis de nombreuses années.
Gregory Woolley, who was the godfather, if we could say, of the street gangs of Montreal, was working with the Sicilian faction.
Et il avait d'ailleurs été arrêté avec messieurs Sollecito et Rizzuto en 2015. Hein.
Yes, and he was arrested in Project Mago Mastiff in 2014 or 2015 with the Sicilians.
La fameuse
In another
opération
operation.
Mago qui avait permis de porter des accusations de gangsterisme contre notamment ces 3 individus-là.
And also, Salvatore Cozzetta was also in that list of charges back then, a decade ago.
Leonardo Rizzuto et Stefano Sollecito s'en étaient tirés.
And at that moment, they charge a bunch of people, they arrest them, they bring him, What happened was the charges actually may have not stuck on Leonardo Rizzuto. He had gotten away with it. And we know Gregory Woolley did not get away with it. He actually went to prison, and eventually he got released.
Ils avaient échappé aux accusations parce que les conversations avec leur avocat avaient été interceptées par les policiers, ce qui était
So they escaped by a technicality. I remember this. They escaped by a technicality because the police, trying to do their work, doing the smart thing, they bugged the lawyer's office, right? And it's because of the conversations that they got on that audio that was so useful to convict them. But, because we have laws, you have to follow certain rules, procedures you're not allowed to do. So that evidence, even if it was there, even if it tells the truth doesn't matter in that circumstance. The technicality overrides the truth. So that goes in the trash bin. You cannot use it. And that got him away slack-free.
susceptible de faire tomber les accusations. Donc, cette fois-ci, les deux, même qu'en 2015, là, se retrouvent à faire face à la justice.
Et quelle est la suite
So I guess they both got scot-free, even Sollecito.
à partir de maintenant?
Bon, on a assisté à quelque chose de très rare aujourd'hui. C'est ce qu'on appelle un acte d'accusation privilégié. Donc, il n'y aura pas d'enquête préliminaire, qui est normalement l'étape où la couronne fait tester sa preuve. On va aller directement à procès. Alors, bien évidemment, tout le monde plaide non coupable.
So they're going straight to the usually there's preliminary steps before you have a trial and all that. From my understanding, I don't know any of this. My understanding, there's usually what he said is there's a preliminary steps that you have to follow. They're going straight to trial, something like that.
Aujourd'hui, dans quelques mois, éventuellement, si
So we got Mario Sollecito, I'm assuming his brother,
la justice suit
or is it his son?
son cours, il y aura procès. On réserve ce mode d'accusation-là pour des circonstances exceptionnelles. Par exemple, lorsqu'il y a d'autres arrestations qui pourraient être à venir, on veut protéger des enquêtes. Ça peut être un des motifs invoqués ou encore pour des raisons de santé. On sait que Stefano Sollecito, donc co-chef de la mafia Montréal.
Sorry about that. She's trying to explain why this speedier way of doing the trial or getting to trial is being done, and he's saying because of it could be related to circumstances of the investigation that are sensitive, and this becomes required. I know. I don't know what else to tell you.
Il y a eu des enjeux de santé assez sérieux.
Sometimes it could be for serious health problems, etc.
Dans les derniers mois, les dernières années. Donc, quand on veut, dans le fond, que les accusés fassent face à la justice sans qu'il y ait des délais interminables, on peut procéder ainsi.
Okay, so it's to speed up things, in other words, is what he's saying.
C'est ce qui a été obtenu. Puis on voyait, c'est Patrick Michel lui-même, là, le directeur du DPCP, qui a signé les mandats.
This mandate to be able to do this, it was a director of whatever that, a high-level government official that signed it, basically. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to make sure we don't skip anything.
Que j'ai pu
But
consulter dans
I
les
don't
dernières
find this...
minutes. Donc, on sent que c'est
le côté exceptionnel de tout ça.
névralgique, c'est l'art d'investi.
Okay, it's a lot of blah blah. We're gonna go straight to the articles, and you're not gonna miss any freaking details. I will translate for you. So, no less than 11 men and multiple leaders of the Rizzuto clan were arrested or accused on Thursday for 6 murders after a big criminal investigation across the country in the last few years because of their ex-hitman. We know this. And what happened? Now, a couple of hours after having just woken up in the morning hours, the cops went to their home in Laval of a co-boss of the Mafia clan, the Sicilians. His name is Leonardo Rizzuto, so he lives in Laval. I told you, no, they live in Laval. Told you. That's it's no longer Little Italy or Saint Leonard. Now, they moved on from there. That's almost the hood for them now. They need backyards and lavish homes, man. So here he is, the Godfather's son, who himself plays, what's his name, Corleone. He's like the movie, just like the movie. And he's the man right now. His father, Vito, if you want, he's gone. And then his grandfather got killed. His brother got killed. And he was a lawyer. He was supposed to do the right thing, if you want to follow the script. But after they all got killed, unfortunately, and then he realized the blood and the sacrifice of his family to create this wealth, to this generational wealth, it belonged to him and Sollecito. And so they decided to go and run with it. And by trying to run with it, he to become a lawyer, you can't be a criminal, of course. And he was able to practice as a lawyer. I think they even tried not to allow him to do that, and he had to fight for it. He did become a lawyer. And then 10 years ago, he blew that all away, and you can understand the circumstances, his father, everything that happened. There was a putsch in the Montreal Mafia. And so he decided to take over with his pal and cousins or whoever, old family, blood ties. So they went for it, and he got arrested. So what do you think he can do since then? Of course, he's not going to have his license to be a lawyer, But his sister is still a lawyer, I believe. And she's actually even being defending some people, maybe marauders or things like that. Now, don't quote me on marauders. I might be. Maybe it's not even marauder. It may have helped Gregory Woolley, some of those guys in that branch. But she definitely is a good, useful family member. But he can't practice because of that charge 10 years ago, I bet. Or if he is, I'd be surprised. Because it's true they dropped the charges on him, right? But anyways, I think he probably let go of all that, and the stupefiers or gambling money must have been just too damn good, And he said, forget about it, I'm gonna be like the movie Godfather. So there he is, the Godfather's son, looking at you with a face of superiority. I'm better than you, pal. But maybe he is. No, he's definitely better than me. Though, Mr. They're saying here, oh, there you go. Remember earlier we found out they had to speed up the trial? It says here, so remember they said healthcare problems? So maybe that's the reason. Now here we're going to get some answers. So, oh, look, He appeared in video conference to, you have to appear before you go to court. I don't know the summary of your charges or whatever. You appeared in front of a judge. He appeared, and just like this photo, he had his nose up, his hands crossed, they say, and he was like, uh-huh. And then, but contrast to him, his partner's attitude was different. The one of his the co-boss, Stefano Sollecito, who arrived at the court in a wheelchair and covering over his knees. I guess he had a sheet, maybe a blanket over his knees. I'm not too sure. But here's the quote. "The health of Mr. Sollecito is very fragile," indicated his lawyer, Maître Laurence Juillet Saint-Jean. Now, maybe he's truly is fragile and the health concerns and all that, and maybe that's the reason they said that the court thing's going to be speed up. I don't know. It could be a possible explanation. Now, the two men were accused of murder in the first degree of Lorenzo Lopresti. We heard about that name before. I cannot remember what he was about. And having plotted to commit the murders of Giuseppe Renda, Moreno Gallo, Antonio Vanelli. Oh, I remember that name. Reynald Desjardins, Joseph Di Molo, Salvatore Montagna, and Antonio Pietrantonio between 2011 to 2019. I guess this list would summarize. I remember Giuseppe Renda. We did a video about it. He was connected to the guys in New York with the Bananos over there. He was their plug over there, I believe, based off my memory. It was like 3 years ago I made that video. But it's so he just disappeared. I believe that was the story, is that Giuseppe Renda disappeared. Nobody ever heard from him again. So now you're telling me, crazy how time solves everything. So they plotted his murder. That's pretty shocking to me, man, to hear about this. So why would you plot the murder of Renda unless, because this list here that we have of these names, many of them are suspected to be the leaders or even just part of the putsch 10 years ago against the Sicilians, when we were simplifying it and saying it was the Calabrians versus the Sicilians, Reynald Desjardins at the forefront, and he has his godfather, Joe Di Molo. All these guys are from that side. And then you see, it's like it's lining up. So you're telling me Giuseppe Renda somehow may have been suspected of treason. Crazy. So these accusations are the fruits of the revelation of Frederick Silva. We know that. Let's see if we can skip some of this. So the accusations of murder, I guess, or gangsterism are linked to 6 of them. So out of the 11 that they arrested, 6 of them are getting charged. Or maybe they're getting the heavy charges, I don't know. And the 11 accused in total, aged between 27 to 57. Where are we? Now, other influential members are that are being accused. There you go. We got Vito Salvaggio and Pietro DeAdamo. His name appears again. This guy's been charged like 3 times for big accusations in the last 2 years. They added this one on top of it. Wonder if murder is part of it. Crazy. And we have Vito Salvaggio. His name will keep popping up. He's going to be one of the high levels, not just underling, basically, high level. Now, 5 individuals are still wanted by the authorities. They're on the run because some of them are outside of the country. The assassinations that were solved, basically. So we heard about it. 2011, Lorenzo Lopresti. Then we have Domenico Faccini and Vito Dorazio. And these two happened in 2012. So the timeline here is definitely the Mafia Wars, the second generation Mafia Wars from our era. Then you have the murder of Vincent Lamer, 3rd November 2017. And now we're approaching more the towards the end of this usurpation. By this time, I think we were at the end of it by 2017. So I don't know if it's linked to that or not, but it's in the timeline. And we got Jean-Guy Bourgoin. I don't remember. I know the name's familiar. Can't remember. Sébastien Beauchamp. We talked about him earlier. Gaëtan Sévigny. Charles-Olivier Boucher-Savard. So we have 2019 and then 2021. Nothing else to notice there. The individuals accused. Oh boy. We got Davide Barberio. You remember him? They called him the street captain or the street boss. And once upon a few years ago, a hit team was sent to try to kill him at his home in front of his children, maybe. I know that happened. They almost got him that day, survived. We have Michel Cliché, 54. You have Pietro DeAdamo, 54. Patrick Gilbert, 51. Daniel Guarna, 45. You have Richard Larivière, the Hells Angel we spoke about earlier. Darius Perry, 27. Leonardo Rizzuto, of course, 56. Vito Salvaggio, 50. Stefano Sollecito, 57. Oh, and there you go. The name that was just missing from this list. We're missing Marco Pizzi on this list. I don't wish that on him, but I would expect I would have expected if they managed to get everyone. Surprising that he's not on here. Given just random luck. But we got Nicola Spagnuolo, of course. Spagnuolo recently in the last few years. We had him arrested. Not we, but you know what I'm saying. The story. We had him arrested in the old port. He went to party, and he brings knives with him when he parties. And I don't know what happened. People get drunk. People are rude. People are disrespectful, and something was said to him. And the guy left the place, and then Spagnuolo followed out. I think it was him. Spagnuolo followed out, and he stabbed the guy. I believe it was Spagnuolo. And if I'm wrong, I apologize, but that, based on my memory, I believe it was him. And it was the stabbing inside of the old port. Not 10 years ago, but like maybe in the last 5, to be on the safe side. The individuals wanted. Now, we talked about the people that were on the run, not caught yet. Sacha Krolik. Now, I'm going to say something if I know something about them. If I don't say anything, it's because nothing comes to mind. Pierre Philogène. Philogène, his name does come to mind. How can I forget a Haitian name like that? They always have super character names. Philogène. But I can't recall what he was about, Mr. Philogène. But we got Mario Sollecito. He's 54, so that's not going to be the son of Sollecito right here. It will probably be a cousin or his brother. Because he's about the same age, right? Like 2 years difference, I think. Is that it? Where Sollecito? 3 years. Then we got Gian Pietro Tiberio, 52. And we got Jean Ismael Zephyr. Okay, so Zephyr will be an old name. Oh, he's wanted, huh? So these guys are wanted. Now, Zephyr is going to be an old name. If it's the same Zephyr family, there was don't quote me on this. There might be 2 brothers. Don't quote me on this. But these are old pals of Gregory Woolley. If I recall, it linked to the Blue Team. Now, this is not these youngsters right now, rapping drill music. These guys who we've been covering, This is like the first generation street gangs. The times of Gregory Woolley kind of guy. Long rap sheet, long history. He would be considered a legend on the streets, is what I'm trying to tell you. So he's wanted. If it's the same Zephyr that I have in mind, and it seems to be so, why would he be, at this age, in this wanted in this big conspiracy plot linked to Gregory Woolley? I'm not, I'm not too inaccurate here with my projection, my predictions, just because I'm lacking information. Memory's bad. I think it's him. Next one, what do we have here? Hit against the Rizzuto clan. Here are the people arrested. Let's see if they give us any additional information.
La police a donné un coup dur à la mafia sicilienne montréalaise. Elle a arrêté 11 personnes, dont des têtes dirigeantes. Et Yves et ces individus vont devoir répondre cet après-midi.
Arrête au palais de justice.
Sorry, I'm going to skip through it because we did. If they say anything we already know, I'm going to skip through it to save you some time.
Très importante. Mais nous, on sait que le tueur à gages, Frédéric Silva, effectivement, a collaboré d'abord ses confessions. Ses confessions siciliennes ici, la mafia montréalaise.
Okay.
On parle évidemment de Leonardo, dont le père, Rocco, a été tué par balle à Laval. C'était en 2016. Donc,
so the father of Stefano Sollecito was offed by rounds in Laval in 2016.
11 arrestations, 3 qui ont été arrêtés en milieu carcéral. Il y a quand même 5 individus qui sont 3 qui ont été arrêtés en 16. Donc, 11 arrestations.
11 arrests.
3 qui ont été arrêtés en milieu.
And 3 of them were already in prison when they got rearrested, if you can say that, while they were already in prison.
Carcéral. Il y a quand même 5 individus qui sont toujours recherchés.
5 still wanted. We read the list.
Dont certains se trouvent outre-mer. On parle vous parliez de meurtre, d'accusation. Il y a également des accusations de complot qui seront déposées.
So those names, those 5 others, he seems to suggest they're also related to murder accusations.
Tantôt, je vais faire entendre quelques points de différence.
La mise en accusation de ces individus.
Now the police, I'm going to probably skip because usually they go in
Va
circles.
assurément avoir un fort impact.
Yeah.
Traditionnel
It's a lot of
italien qui existe. Il y a d'autres familles.
Okay, this is
crime
good.
organisé traditionnel. Pas une fin, je pense pas. Il y a d'autres factions.
Here, listen to this. Is this, they asked him, is this the end of the mafia in Montreal? He says no.
Je pense pas. Il y a d'autres factions.
There are other factions
Du crime organisé traditionnel.
in traditional organized crime.
Italien qui
Italian
existe.
that exist.
Il y a d'autres familles.
There are other families.
On le sait tous, là. C'est un modèle cellulaire maintenant, le crime organisé. Donc, tout le monde travaille avec tout le monde.
And what we know now is that everybody's working with everybody.
Donc, c'est quoi l'impact? C'est extrêmement significatif.
Now, what's the impact? It's very significant.
Enquête permet de résoudre plusieurs crimes, dont des meurtres reliés au crime organisé, mais aussi des événements tragiques qui ont fait des victimes innocentes.
Wow. Okay. He says that this also helped to solve, murders of criminals or killers or whatever, but it also helped to solve tragic murders of innocent people who died in all this. See, that's also a recurring theme, whether it's in British Columbia or in the Mafia, Montreal, or street gangs in Quebec City. That's a recurring theme. There's always mistaken identity situations, man.
À leur famille, je vous dis, on vous a pas oublié. Chaque geste posé dans cette enquête a été animé par la volonté de rétablir.
Okay, it's a lot of BS. He's just doing promotion for the cops. Let me just skip. See what we get here.
Alors, cette vaste opération policière n'est pas terminée. Là, il y aura d'autres
Oh, it says this vast police operation is not over yet.
phases, probablement,
There are other phases to be expected
au cours des prochains mois qui seront menées.
in the following months.
Vincent, on nous dit que la pression policière sera constante. Alors, voilà pour cette histoire.
All right, he ends it there. We got this summary is the same thing. If you wanted to see faces, what people look like, this is David Barberio, we mentioned, of the arrested. He's not on the run. He's been one of the arrested. Pietro DeAdamo, this is the man of the hour, the Southwest. The 2 charges within the last 2 years for a cane ring, they somehow bring back to him. He might be innocent. He might just be by association. You know what I'm saying? But he's innocent until proven guilty. But that's what we heard in the news. And then now he's being charged in this one as well. So for people I had a few comments of some people, they're saying, not some people, one person was saying, he's a nobody, he's a low-hanging fruit. Like, when I read the news and I see why he's being busted for, and then you see this, you won't convince me otherwise. I don't know, some people have enemies, and I believe this. They come and they try to spin the narratives against their enemies, man. There's no way in hell he's a nobody, and he's just a puppet like they're making it sound, Let's see. You got Patrick Gilbert, 51. Yeah, no pictures. So this is Jean-Richard Larivière. He looks different than the other pictures. It's like his face changed. I've seen other photos of him. He doesn't look like this. Maybe it's because they were older, I guess. It's 57 because Jean Ace Larivière, that's the nickname they gave him. He got everything, the tattoo on the neck, the alien earrings, and the patch of the Hells Angels. Darius Perry, we don't have photo. Leonardo Rizzuto right there, looking straight at you. And Vito Salvaggio, pretty much about the only pictures that we ever had from him from a surveillance operation. His name was mentioned when we were, I don't know if my video is still there, when there was a report on the gambling operations in Montreal, or how they're run, sort of like how the chain of command sort of works. They couldn't give us the whole story. It was all over the place, but we were figuring out a little. Best way I can describe it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's like you could have seen it as a company, and there was how do you say, like franchises, like a location in a cafe spot in Laval, another location in the east, and each one was and there was people running each side. It was, I can't remember what the article was, but it was explaining that, and when it was explaining that, this person's name was definitely showing up, and not passingly speaking about him. He had a role in all that. Let's keep going. We got a younger Sollecito, maybe 10 years ago picture. Nicola Spagnolo right here. I guess that's either it's going to be the cousin of Sollecito or his brother right here. Oh man, I was hoping we get more pictures than this. Now, this video we're not gonna, let me just, did we watch this? Yeah, I think this is the same video. Yeah, there's a good chance. Yeah, it's the same, dude. It's the same. But the article is different. They're just recycling that video. What else can we extract from this for you? Did we miss anything? The goal is that it's as if if you don't speak French, if you're an Anglophone, no shame in that, I'm translating it for you. So it's as if you lived here and you had read it yourself. You didn't miss anything. You didn't get a summary from someone who's making a documentary and he cannot give you all the details word for word. He's gonna summarize stuff and you might miss something. I'm pretty much making sure we got everything for you here. Now, this is the same thing. Now this is when they went to court 10 years ago, I guess. So that's Frédéric Silva, the guy who all these operations are becoming fruitful because of. It's him. You got Leonardo Rizzuto here, and you have Sollecito already looked. This is not a brand new photo, right? It's at least a couple of years old, if not 5, 6, 7. But we could already see Mr. Sollecito here. He looked like, not too long. We don't have look at the difference. Look at him here. And look at him here. He almost looks like a cancer patient. Maybe it's just because of the shaved head, but something's off, And now he's in a wheelchair. So that was the last time he went to court. And he was standing on his 2 feet. Now he's on a wheelchair, man. Oh, not even. It's not in court. It says 27th, 2015, at the airport in Trudeau, Montreal airport. The police saw Silva accompany the leaders of the Mafia and basically drive them around as their chauffeur. Okay. He was definitely walking slow. Same thing. We're going to just try to... So between 27 to 2019, he spent most of the times living as a fugitive because he was on the run, remember? He lived on numerous identities, one of them being David Guerrard, and also as another identity, Michael Vincini. And he had he grew his hair and he had a beard and all that. We saw photos of him. See if... Okay. That's it. That article's done. Is this the exact same one? Same video, just another article. See if we miss anything. Yeah, so we know this. We talked about it. They tried to assassinate him. The order probably may have come from, more than likely, it's him right here. He's no longer gone. They got their revenge and they killed him. And we saw at his funeral, Montreal Hells Angels were present. And we also saw the shooter who tried to kill Marco Pizzi, who I told you is surprisingly not on this list of operation, which I would have thought they went for all of them. But he didn't have any charge. He was not on the list of names, and we had all the list of names. But Marco Pizzi, his dealership was burned multiple times. The shooting at it at least once or twice. And then if you check out, I had a video documentary storytelling, not like this format, a real storytelling video with music and all that. In there, I showed you that there was a hitman who was going for Marco Pizzi's neck. That hitman then got out of prison, and a few years later, he went on another mission, and that hitman went to gun Leonardo Rizzuto. So that day when you had, everything's all over. That day when he almost got killed in Laval, and he ran to a funeral place nearby, and he told them to call the cops. That person who tried to kill him was working for Del Balzo. Everything comes together like this, huh? Storylines, it's crazy. Okay, so the origins of the Montreal Mafia. The Mafia began to implant itself in Montreal in the beginning of the 1910s, under the Bonanno clan of New York. The Americans were trying to profit from the strategic position of Quebec, and this is an explanation from historian Luca Solai in 2023. He says, quote, "The Bonanno family wanted to extend their power in Montreal in order to exploit its ports, maritime ports, ideally strategically placed to extend towards ports of Europe through the sea, right? And also to be near the ports of the American ones. Hence, they gave all the control to a Calabrian family, local in Montreal, of which they had trust in. He says, the Cotronis. So this is Bonanno right here, Joseph Bonanno. And we do know Joseph Bonanno had, even if the other guy denies it, there's a report on that, and he can deny it as much as he wants. But he cozied up to the Saputo guy, the cheese man. Those who don't know, Saputo is a big cheese company in Montreal, a big company, existed years ago, whatever. And when Bonanno needed business connections, it's believed he went to see that guy. And that guy has connections with politicians, and then you saw people connected to the Bonannos hanging out with those politicians. It's like it's interesting. Let's keep going. Now, for numerous years, the Cotronis controlled discreetly the criminal operations of the downtown Montreal area. At the time, the Rizzutos and the Sicilians were nothing more than a small faction within that organization. But here we are in 1972, when the government of Quebec led an anti-mafia operation. We talked about this earlier in my channel, the first year. I showed you, it looked a lot like in America, there's that infamous Joe Valachi, one of the biggest informers in the American Mafia, one of the first to give out its secrets. There was a commission, there was an inquiry, it's like an official government investigation where they do it in front of the public. It's like Heikis, it looks sort of like a trial. It's not really a trial, but it looks like a trial. They're in front of like almost like a judge. He's in front of you, grilling you, asking you, and they brought him there. He testified. It's videotaped. You can actually probably see parts of it on YouTube. Joe Valachi. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is Montreal. So the Joe Valachi one was in the 60s, I think. No more than the 70s, but probably it was in the 60s. Well, Montreal had its own version of that, almost at the same time. So it was like a trend, something catching on fire in America. Quebec had its own inquiry like this, proceeded in the same manner. They even forced, what's his name? So there was Cotroni, and then he had his subordinates. I forgot his name. The guy who got sniped. It'll come back to me. Paolo Violi. There you go, Paolo Violi. And they had summoned Violi to come to that inquiry, that inquest. And and you know the rule of the mafia is the mafia does not exist. So Joe Valachi's case, he was informing, he was cooperating. You know what I mean? So he was telling, oh yeah, it exists and all that. He went there voluntarily. Mr. Paolo Violi did not go there voluntarily, and you cannot refuse, from my understanding. You cannot refuse questions. You cannot say, I will not answer that question. That's a crime. Apparently, it's a crime. So there's videotapes of Mr. Paolo Violi. You might be able to find it on YouTube. Might. And he can't say no, but he's refusing the questions without saying no, and it's pissing off the I don't know, for a lack of word, the inquirer or the judge, you know. And so it's like the American. There was a trend at that time happening. It's very interesting. And 1972, it says here, the government of Quebec is attacking the mafia by creating a commission, SICO, in order to weaken the Montreal mafia. And weakened, the weakened parties are Vic Cotroni. And Vic Cotroni is being targeted in there. And as he's being targeted, I guess he lets power to his underling, Paolo Violi. And Paolo Violi was from, was it Hamilton or Ontario family? I'm not too sure about that. Memory is not good. But Paolo Violi takes control at a certain point. And he becomes number 2, it says here, in the organization until he becomes a boss. But his nomination, they say here, does not make everyone happy. It was not a unanimous preference. Here's a quote. Violi does not get along well with the Rizzutos. There is a sort of internal war that breaks off or erupts between the two families, and which will culminate with trying to get the permission of the Bonanno family in New York to get Paolo Violi murdered by the Rizzutos in 1978, says this historian. And that murder begins the change of power. So it goes from the Calabrians to the Sicilians. We already talked about all this many years ago. But frankly, you guys were not much interested. But I think it's very fascinating. We need to know where we're coming from to know where we're going, to understand everything, to derive lessons, friend. Not just be doing this for entertainment mindlessly. Now, the birth of a giant. During the 1980s to 1990, the organized crime in Montreal imposes itself on the international scene. Different groups, of which bikers, also established themselves in the city. And the mafia manages to get its cut of the underworld, its own, its part. As a talented, how you say this, a talented, I lack a word here, rassembleur, gatherer, let's say, a talented gatherer of people, bringing people together to negotiate. The Godfather Vito Rizzuto, considered as the biggest mafioso in the history of Canada, allows him to orchestrate partnerships with criminal organizations across Quebec and in the east of Ontario. The mafia prospers under his rule and diversifies its activities. Now, legal enterprises were created in construction and in order to launder money. The downfall. Now, in January of 2004, the mafia is shaken when Vito Rizzuto is arrested for a homicide that happened, I think it was in the 80s. And he's extradited. Remember the Bonanno 3 or 4 captains hit that happened in New York? He was summoned. I guess they have to show their loyalty somehow. That, yeah, we're still with you, and we're not just talking. We actually mean it. There's a code. And in order to, to ingratiate yourself and to ask favors and to get those favors responded, to get respected, to prove you're serious and you're still part of the deal. Maybe in the 1980s, they got a call to come to New York and to participate. Vito Rizzuto went there. He never got caught for it, but in 2004, I think the boss of the Bananos, was it the Bananos? I think it was the Banana. It was probably the Bananos. It was what was his name? Massino. The Massino became a rat. So the guy who ordered all these people to kill those captains, basically, he got people killed, and now he decided to cooperate with the police, and he had to give all his names up. So of course Vito Rizzuto's name came up. He had to tell him all the crimes he committed and who was involved, etc. So when Vito Rizzuto thought he got away with it, 20 years later, the Americans required him to be extradited to the U.S. for that. So that was a big surprise. Now, before he boarded that plane, I told you this many times, you hardly hear it about it. I don't know why, but it's a big deal, And before he boarded that plane, there's that famous photo of him. It looks like it looks pretty freaking gangster, You can't lie. It looks like a movie. He's with like two cops on each side, and he's shackled with his hands, I believe, and he's about to board the plane. They say that he looked at the investigator, and he told them, "You guys are making a big mistake. You guys are making a big mistake. If I board this plane, it will be chaos in the city. I was the one holding it together. What's coming is gonna be scary. You don't know what you're doing." And, they just told him, "Get on the plane, shut up, you're going to America," basically. And his words were prophetic. His words were so prophetic. He and this is not an exaggeration. I think it was much worse than his words could have even described what happened since then. It was crazy ever since. I don't think we knew a period of peace or calm ever since that moment. It's been back to back, back to back, back to back, back to back, back to back. Even this last year, which has nothing to do with this, but you see there's like a ripple effect, a chain effect. You know what I mean? It's like a one cause, one effect. There's another side effect of that, which has another side effect, and it's rippled. And that's what we're doing right now. We're covering these ripples, friend. I've been reading about this stuff, analyzing it for a long time, friend. You just started with me, and I hope we can go another long time together, and we can look back and learn and see. I get a bigger picture, So let's keep going. Where are we? Now where were we here? Yeah, in his absence, the factions were working together. They start to break off. On November 22nd, 2006, the authorities put the final nail in the coffin. That's it. Operation Colisée. That's the one where Del Balzo was in. I think it was a big gambling operation in there. They were raking in multi-millions of dollars. Remember, at that time, they found out these guys were running an online gambling stuff. Imagine, this was 2006. I don't even think our own governments were doing that. And they were raking in millions. I'm not saying 1-2 millions. They were raking in. I cannot give you the number. It was not 3-4 million, friend. It was a big number. They were raking in a lot of money from this. This is 2006, man. So that was today. We just had the operation against the Sicilians. They did a lot of damage. Back then, 2006, the one that did damage to them was Opération Colisée. That's when Del Balzo got arrested. He went to prison. And where are we at? So 90 individuals in the Mafia, 90 were arrested, guys. Today, what do we say? I think we said 11. When you think about it, compare 11 to 90. How much bigger that was. That shook up the Sicilian clan, and they became the target of choice for criminals that were more ambitious. Then what happened is the attempts against them, or the attacks against them, multiplied. First, the oldest son of Vito Rizzuto, Niccolo Jr., was assassinated in 2009. He went to visit that lawyer's office. Forget his name. And that lawyer, it's believed that he set him up, made him come. And I think the lawyer may have owed them money or something. I do not recall the specifics, but it had something to do with money. But anyways, he had him come over, and Niccolo came, and it was a setup, and he got ambushed, and he got killed. But what do you think happened to that lawyer? He didn't last long either. He's gone too. That same year, his brother-in-law, Paolo Renda, disappeared after being taken in the middle of the street. That's the infamous one where he was rolling in Laval, I believe, in his BMW. And all we know is he vanished. They found his car with both doors open, and no one was there. It's just poof. There's never been another sign of where he was. Now, we found out maybe 3 years ago when there was that report with, what's his name? Félix Séguin. And he talked to Scopa, one of the usurpers, Scopa. And he had a secret interview with him. I heard Scopa say, he was talking about Paolo Renda, and he said they kidnapped him and they tortured him. And allegedly he was tortured for that gambling book, that accounting book of all the debts that were inside. Now, it's very interesting. In 2010, the father of Vito this was probably the biggest event ever. Vito Rizzuto, the grandfather, the original one, he was assassinated, and in his home on where I called, remember I said Mafia Street, Antoine Berthelet, crosses Gouin Street. It's in the northwest, almost across the water, pretty much across the water from Laval, just before you cross to it. They owned, there's like a street where the families lived there, Ever since I was a kid, my uncle used to drive around and he would point that area. I was like, I think, I don't know, man, a long time ago anyways. He was pointing there and he's saying, yeah, I did work in that home, and that place, those guys are gangsters. It's crazy how long ago this was. They owned, what he was telling me is they owned the block, basically. There's 3-4 homes at least. That's what I learned now. What's his name? I think Paolo Renda lived next door. Just to give you an idea. This guy who vanished, I think it was him. He lived, he's one of the people who lived next door. So they all lived right next to each other. It's pretty crazy. Where are we? So what I was going to tell you, my memory went off. Yes, his father gets assassinated. Some guy hides in the bushes. There's bushes behind his place. Okay, bushes is not the right word. Like a forest behind this place. And someone went there and he could aim inside of the kitchen windows from outside. He hid there. He waited for the evening, I think. Right moment. And he had a sniper. And he got him one hit to the head, I think. And he killed him in front of his daughter, which is the lawyer I told you about earlier in the video. Now, what's really interesting about this is this a coincidence that it was done with that sniper thing? Because I believe Paolo Violi got sniped himself. When you think about it, that's like that could have been a legendary revenge from someone. Who knows? That sounds really, either it's just was a need, a necessary need, that there's the only way to get him, so they use a sniper, or it's some form of poetic destiny that happened, and or revenge from somebody to use a sniper in that same way. It's just pretty freaking crazy when you think about it. I don't have the answer for you. I have no clue. Where are we now? So no, we're here, eh? The Mafia in crisis. At his return in 2012, Vito Rizzuto orchestrates his revenge. He starts. You get a bunch of people start dying, basically. Now, without having a true leader, the Mafia in the last few years has known very difficult moments. Criminal fires, attempted murders, some of which were targeted at Leonardo Rizzuto himself, have multiplied as evidence that without a true leader in charge, it's been chaos ever since. Now here we got pictures of that day of the arrest. Is it Thursday today? Yeah, right. So it's today. It happened today. Here you go, Leonardo Rizzuto at his home in Laval. I just want to skip reading the same stuff. There you go. That's a picture of Mr. Sollecito there. It's not looking too good. Health issues suck. So we're all gonna face some form of that when we get older and older, guys. It's inevitable, you know. We need to have compassion for people. Here he is sitting and being taken by the cops. What a bad moment for that to happen to. Where are we? In total, 11 people were arrested. Yeah, the same story. Okay, yeah. Among the people who were incarcerated already, remember I told you some of them were arrested, but they were already in prison? Makes sense. It was Nicola Spagnolo is one, and the other one is Pietro DeAdamo. I guess they're going to have coffee together. Where are we? He arrived at the police station or at around 6:50 in the morning. So of course they hit him in early hours. Does this picture show us anything? Eclipse Squad of Montreal. That's the anti-gang squad. The cops are rubbing it in. They're saying, we've just demonstrated that regardless, that whatever the crime that you just did, whether it was in 2011 or 2021, there's going to be an end to it. All right, let's keep going. There you go. They believe, though, they're saying probably. Gregory Woolley and Sammy Tomorrow. Remember Sammy Tomorrow was off in Mexico 2 years ago, I think? That's the guy. Everyone who worked with Frédéric Silva magically starting to get offed. Or got offed. Yeah, this is a repetition of what we know. Yeah, I think we're still not done. This never ends. I promise it's the last article. We don't have any more. Just want to not reread what we just read. There you go. It says, La Presse, this newspaper, has already revealed that Frédéric Silva has become a member of the Rizzuto family in 2014, after having organized the murder of gang boss Joseph Ducarme. There you go. Suspected of having been implicated in the assassination of Nicola Rizzuto, the eldest son of Vito Rizzuto. Now, Joseph Ducarme was a 67 gangster, first generation, considered an OG, and a legend in the streets, if you didn't know. Now, they're suspecting that it was him that killed the son. Remember when he was going to the lawyer's office, that he was ambushed? But what's striking for me, that I don't remember learning, is Joseph Ducarme's assassination was orchestrated by Frédéric Silva. So Joseph Ducarme thought he was invincible despite all of this. He was still, I think, visiting his mother in the hood, and in the middle of the evening, he thinks it was a good time to, just take a walk outside, maybe go to his car, grab something, perhaps walk to the corner store, grab something right there. But the hitmen were waiting, and he got off right there. So the Italians got their revenge. So now you find out that they passed this role to Frédéric to accomplish. Maybe he did it himself, maybe he got someone else. But remember, Frédéric Silva's cooperating with the police now. So this is not speculation. La Presse is not just speculating this happened. That meant the cops found out, Frédéric Silva told them, and they're telling La Presse, etc. They have court documents, perhaps, whatever it is. But they're not making this up. Where are we? Now, there's a photo of Leonardo right here as they were coming to get him. Obviously not happy. Yeah, we're gonna suck. Damn. So this operation using Frédéric Silva to solve past crimes. So pretty much the crimes between 2011 to today, I think. It's a long time, right? Now we got to remember Frédéric became part of the Rizzuto family in 2014. But he had some information, and from around 2014, say 2011, until today. Now, that entire operation, 35 suspects have been arrested. Or is it? No, sorry, we're being followed by the cops. Yeah, they were being listened to, maybe wiretapped or tapped their phones, things like that. About 35 of them. Sorry about this. Yeah, and they also got their hands in that operation for 150 electronic devices, cell phones, I guess. Maybe computers in there too. That's pretty crazy, man. Anyway, we'll continue here. I don't want to go back too much. We can skip this. Giving the names again. We heard about the accused, the ones who were still on the run, right? Yeah, we know Richard Larivière, Hells Angels, was being accused of the murders of Vincent Lamère, Sébastien Beauchamp, Gaëtan Sévigny, and having tried to kill Jean-Guy Bourgoin. And he is also accused to having plotted with Frédéric Silva. So there you go. So it was Jean Ace Larivière was plotting with Silva and Sammy Tamuro to assassinate these four. There you go. Now David Barberio, and note this to me, it's a Pietro DeAdamo is in there, with Daniel Garna, Darius Perry, Pierre Philogène, are accused of premeditated murder of Charles Olivier Bouchard Savard in 2021. So there you have it. For the guy who said that this is nobody, he's just a clown or whatever, and etc. I don't think so, man. I think he's probably a high level gangster with that. Let's see. Okay, I think we're. Yeah, the cops are thanking themselves. This is the first article in the beginning. Nothing special. All right, I think this was a pretty long video. Let me just catch up on some messages. Sorry it took me a while. And what was I gonna say? All right, what's up, Adam Rogers? Yeah, let's get down to business. Now we're done with it. Wonder if Rochon knows Rochebrun. Thank you, Pollock. I appreciate it. Well, hello, Lucifer. Anthony Serrano. And Chris Inslee. Good afternoon, pal. Oh, the youth. What's up, Max the youth? They got the sauce. He's talking about Mr. Sollecito. Says hi to everyone. Hello, everyone. And yes, hit the like if you like to receive updates like this and to help out your Uncle Forger. Gagnon Alain, what's up, Gagnon Alain? How are you doing, pal? Scartown. Yeah, Scartown 1. What's up, pal? Sleeping Joe. It's still too early for that. What's up, Sleeping Joe? Jesse Marasco. Salut. Pro Ireland. You joined us the other day. What's up, buddy? You were, Pro Ireland. Thank you, bud, for the other day. I know these are not the, you knew already. These are not documentaries. They're just report translations. But there are documentaries, well, sort of documentaries. I call them storytelling episodes. You can always check those out if you like those. Marshall Mathers, what's up, buddy? Sheriff of YouTube, give a shout out to the youth. Shout out to the youth once again. Shout out to the man, the youth, and shout out to Sheriff too. What's up, Omar, Mr. Channel Man? Yes, thanks, buddy. I was not going to upload for a bit, to be honest with you. But like they say, they find a way to pull me right back in. Jimmy K says, HA sent the cops 100. I'm not sure which story we were talking about. I lost my trail. And Or did I miss? Wealth Chaser, what's up, buddy? He says, AP, I guess, Air Power, about to make rain and good times. So it's like an expression that they're about to take advantage of this, basically, and cause chaos. That would make sense. I hope not. Daniel Gould, what's up, Daniel? Oh, Zachary Mitchell too. What's up, buddy? What's up to Daniel and Zachary? Good Thursday to you, pal. And sorry about that. I'm trying to catch everybody. Silva's probably in Miami, feet up with detectives. Ghost of Bandera, what's up, buddy? Yes, I remember the helicopter escape. I think was it two Hells Angels or bikers who who managed to escape from helicopter? That is just freaking crazy, man. We've seen it all, but we can always be surprised because we live in Quebec. And they got what else? Did I miss anybody? It says, I was incarcerated in Saint-Jérôme when that happened. It was the DD range. I was next door. DCG, we used the same yard. We literally watched this ish live. That is freaking hilarious, dude. That is hilarious. That is freaking nuts. That's the most crazy thing I heard that happened in prison. It's impossible to top that one. You know? That daring escape, somehow managed to get a helicopter. To imagine escaping from prison on a helicopter. You know? You gotta give it to those people for managing to pull that off, man. You gotta give it to them. I wonder why it's not been made into a movie yet. Crazy. But one day this Montreal stuff will become a movie, you know? One day someone's gonna make a movie. But I hope they don't. They do it good, you know? Or a good show, but something in a good way, you know? My thing is, I watched that show about, 10 years ago? The Mafia show. It was sort of about the Rizzuto clan, whatever. I didn't like it. I actually didn't like it. It was okay. I feel you could do it so much better. You could do so much better than that. How cooked is Rizzuto? I don't know the law. I don't know nothing, you know. But I have no clue. But he's being charged with murder. And last time they didn't get him because of a technicality with the wiretap was not legal, so that evidence was not permissible. I'm sure, you know, I'm leaning on this time they're not going to make the same mistakes, and they want him. They want him bad this time, you know. So I'd be leaning more towards they got him good. They must have something good on him this time. Yeah, they have Frédéric Silva, right? And Frédéric is going to give facts that could be confirmed, you know what I'm saying? And the cops will be searching for those, and it will sort of reinforce what he's saying must be true type of thing. I don't know. They might go along those lines, and I think he's cooked. I think about it, and he's most definitely cooked. But yeah, a lot of those crimes were a long time ago, so maybe not. Maybe it's going to be difficult too, you know? Some evidence is not going to, you know, 10 years is a long time for evidence to vanish, you know? You're going to have to take the word of somebody for it. Now it's going to have maybe be argued in court. You believe everything Silva says, maybe they're going to be able to unargue that. It's not like these guys are having conversation on the cell phone. They're not stupid. They're smart. They're not having conversations of stuff that happened 10 years ago and admitting to what happened, you know? So how are you going to prove something that was 10, 12 years ago? You're just going to have to have your witness say this happened. Is that good enough in the eyes of the law? Or I guess you can argue anything these days too, you know? But I am always missing something. I don't have the full picture. I'm not smart enough to be able to figure that one out. I'm just guessing. Well, she says, and y'all know this person who did the hit didn't even get paid his 100K. You know this happened, is what he's saying. He's making a joke that, yeah, because we found out when they sent out the hit to go to Marco Pizzi's dealership, and those guys requested to get paid, they got miffed. They got told to get F out of here or else. That kind of stuff seems to be happening. It actually happened. Think about that. How dirty it is. Someone who goes risks themselves, goes do something like that, and after that they get threatened to go away because don't even ask the money or else. That's horrible, man. Sometimes you never know, man. Realistic, could happen, but no evidence of that right now for stuff like that. All right. Anyways, be a solid dude for doing that ish. Still, imagine no cash in advance. Yeah, and who wants to pay? Who wants to pay in advance? Who wants to pay in advance? The guy just runs. Not dealing with honest people either. Crafty. Yeah, shout out to thank you right back at you, pal. Shout out to Chatting with Stacks. He's a hard freaking worker, man. He's been at it for good times, and he adds value. I usually tell you I'm not a fan of American channels. You see what we're doing here. The whole story happened in French. There's nothing out there to figure this stuff out, and some people come out and they make stuff up. They say, this is exactly what's happening in the Montreal Mafia. This is what's happening with authority. How could they know? They don't even speak the language. They don't even know the city streets' names. They can't pronounce anything. Stacks, it's different. You see, Stacks creates value. He actually gets interviews with people. He got an interview with ex-outlaw, sorry. But that guy's got pictures with him that proves everything he says. So we would never even have that interview without somebody like Stacks making that available. So I'm a fan of his work. He actually creates value out there. He does something that without him, we would not have access to that. He's a good guy. I appreciate his work. So if you want to support his channel, you want to have genuine, authentic people like that. Plus, he asks good questions. He does good follow-ups. I like how he conducts the interview. He doesn't make it about himself. He makes it about the other person, but he asks the questions that flows nicely and questions that you'd want to ask. It's really good how he does it. It's very enjoyable to watch the interviews. Check out the one he did on the Outlaw just recently for a starter, And in that interview, he managed to get information on the Canadian biker war from that person. Information that you would not have heard anywhere else. Check it out on his channel, man. It's good work, good stuff. God bless. Appreciate you. And we got Big 50. Hey, Big 50, it's been a while, pal. I hope everyone is well. Yeah, everyone's good. We wish you all the best, bro. We're happy to have you, and I hope things are going better for you too, dude. And also, I hope things going well with all of you, the rest of you. Shout out to the Silent Bunch. I know, you don't say anything. You're quiet, man. That don't mean we don't respect you. No, far from that. You're the dangerous guy. Maybe you're involved in these stories. Maybe, just maybe we mentioned your name once in a while, and you're silently listening. You're the guy that we're watching here. But you know what they say? We appreciate you because it's not always what you say. It's what you don't say that makes you a special kind of guy. Smart dude. We respect that. Thanks for being here, buddy. Thank you to everyone else who's watching. Have a great day, guys. And I'll keep you up to date on this biker, mafia, Montreal, Quebec gang landscape as the stories come. Take care, friend.